but just had a thought, and if I don't put it somewhere, I'll forget about it. So, um, I don't remember what actually prompted this thought, but um, I think I started off thinking about um, religions. Fuck it, I don't remember. I don't remember how this came to me, but there is common knowledge of the fact that if you are to join specifically Freemasonry, they are not specific or choosy about which, but you need to acknowledge um, a God. You need to acknowledge a higher power than yourself. And I guess somehow I started thinking about that, and suddenly the epiphany came to me of some other themes that I've talked about a lot, and things that I've come to throughout my studies of religious texts and ontology. So I've talked about and other channels also have talked about the obvious parallels between Baal, Yahweh, El, Kronos. You know, you can keep going on and on and on. And it's not to say that every single deity is the same being, but very obviously the hierarchy of these religious belief systems are the same beings, right? And so then I thought about the very, very prevalent, um, you know, moniker, the one true God. In fact, I was watching some goofy compilations of TikToks and shit yesterday because I like to see what people are paying attention to mostly. Um, but dude said he was talking he was talking about Will Smith's like performance at some award show with Kurt Franklin. Both of those dudes are complete frauds as far as like, doing a song about God. Uh, Kirk Franklin is a prevalent Christian music artist who is, I would say, the equivalent to a televangelist. And if you are familiar with televangelists, you know, or really most preachers in general, most of them are Freemasons. So if you notice, many times when they speak about uh, God, they don't specifically say which God they're talking about. Now, many of them will say Jesus and things like that. Sometimes they'll say Jehovah and stuff like that, but that goes back around to the concept of the many, many faces of Yaldabaoth, the many faces of Sackless, um, and how you can reinvent yourself. You can move to a brand new place, come up with a new name, come up with a new, vibe, a new feel of yourself. Does that make you an actually different person, or does that mean that you have added and taken away things that you saw to be beneficial, right? And so within that video, he's talking about Kirk Franklin and Will Smith performing this song and the imagery that they used, which very much was occult imagery. That doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that they were kind of doing sleight of hand. They're getting people to give up their energy, their loosh, willingly by, you know, giving the impression that they're talking about one deity or being when they're really talking about one or many others. But he said within that video, the one true God. We know the one true God. And it kind of snapped for me in that moment where it's like, so it doesn't matter which thing you do. And I just remembered what brought me to this. This thought process happened so quickly it is hard for me to kind of like remember it. But I'm watching a live show by Queens of the Stone Age, one of my favorite bands. has been for a long time. Um, Josh Homme has a tattoo of an esoteric symbol on his hand. I'm not familiar with it. I've seen it before, but I've never, really cared to look that one up specifically. Um, I know it has to do with craft work, like um, maybe some Norse stuff, maybe a chaos symbol. I can't remember, but um, I thought about him and other musicians, rock musicians, some rap, some whatever. Many of them have become increasingly public with the fact that they practice, that they're not Christians, that they're not Abrahamic. They practice other belief systems, sometimes very obscure, but that led me to the thought that they're all doing that kind of Masonic thing where they're acknowledging a higher being. They're acknowledging a God above them. And then that led me to think, oh, well, people think that all of these different, um, artists and public figures and shit are separating themselves in a way from Christianity or from each other, when in reality, if there is a one true God of this realm, that doesn't mean that it's the God above all, just of this realm. They're all either knowingly or unknowingly acknowledging the same God, and many people are just viewing it as, you're acknowledging Baal, you're acknowledging um, Sackless, you're acknowledging Lucifer, you're acknowledging Satan, you're acknowledging, uh, um, whoever. It just keeps going on and on. And you can draw the parallels between these gods. There's dudes that wear the Thor's hammer around their neck. There are people that have specific sigils tattooed on them. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're worshiping, but at the same time, what are they saying with it, And so watching this concert led me down this path of realizing that many people view these artists as separating themselves in their belief systems, and they may even believe that themselves, when in reality it's most likely that they're all bowing to the same one true God. I think that that's very, very interesting, and I wonder how many people have come to that epiphany before. Specifically, I know that many people talk about how, the one true God has many faces, and Yaldabaoth becomes this, becomes that, becomes this, becomes that. Even I've talked about it, but specifically, all of these people think that they are making a distinction as far as what higher power they serve or worship or bow to, when in reality most times they're talking about the same being or few beings within the upper echelon of divinity. You get what I'm saying? I just thought that was interesting. I'm not going to hold it up. I just wanted to put that somewhere. And usually when I do that, I end up talking about it. I am ramping up the frequency of videos. It is not going to be as frequent. It's not going to be as intense in frequency as it was before, because I have more responsibilities. But I am trying to get back to it. So I'm trying to do 2, 3 videos a week once I get going again. Um, I really think that's an interesting topic, though. The fact that, Freemasonry talks about, you don't need to specifically say that you're into, you know, Baal or Jehovah or, um, you know, whoever. You just need to acknowledge a higher power. So if you look beyond Freemasonry and these secret societies that may or may not make you choose theirs or choose one, everyone else is doing the same shit, but they're all of them, secret or not, society or not, public or not, they're all choosing mostly the same dude or someone within his circle. And I just think that's very, very specifically funny. So like, That's why I talk about self deification. Doesn't mean you believe, in a delusion that you have these powers all of a sudden or that you have control over people all of a sudden. It just means understanding your own self. Um, it means understanding your your power over nothing but self. Doesn't mean you can't do things in life, doesn't mean you don't have the capability to become strong, to become prevalent, to become whatever. It just means understanding that you don't have to bow to another deity. You don't have to worship a higher power. You can acknowledge your power. You can acknowledge your consciousness and existence. And the more that you study and understand about this place, the more that that will make sense to you. And it makes a lot less sense to bow to someone. Doesn't mean you can't work with them or study them or understand them or acknowledge them, but to stand at the same level as them is not blasphemy, it's self deification. And I don't believe that that is a negative or terrible thing. In fact, I believe that is what is intended by those beings that are not malevolent. If they are benevolent, then it means that they are wanting you to figure yourself out, to remember who and what you are, and to understand that this place is not everything. It is not the end all. In fact, we can't even perceive most of it. So I thought that that was specifically a cool little thought process. What up, Infinity? Yeah, man. Uh, it's crazy to think that a Queens of the Stone Age, a tattoo on his hand, made me like come to all these quick realizations. But I think I wanted to put this somewhere because I do want to talk about this, but I'm starting to stack up topics. So next is going to be the documentation video having to do with a prompt that came from Lookout for Charlie. That one will be out tomorrow. After that is going to be the next installment of Esoterica in Entertainment, and that will be Hereditary, one of my favorite movies, one of my favorite directors, Ari Aster. And then after that, maybe this topic because it's very interesting to me. And there's so many videos that I've done and others have done that I can draw from to show like that correlation that I just talked about. It's basically making the statement that there are many people that believe that they're making a distinction separate from Abrahamic deities and gods and belief systems when really it's like think about a multinational corporation. Like think of Amazon. Amazon has an imprint in the United States or North America, let's say. They also have an imprint in Australia. They also have an imprint. They have an imprint in many, many different countries. It's the same entity. They just have a different representation. They may even have a different, aesthetic, but it's the same dude. It's all Bezos, right? So if you look at that from a belief system perspective, it's like I said with the ultra terrestrials thing. When you don't have a concept of time and you create this or you create or exist in this place where these beings are, you can just keep flowing through existence, recreating yourself, dying, rebirth. You can do all these things. And over as moments pass, you can see a situation where there are many, many different iterations of you through legend that people now choose from to show their allegiance or worship or belief in. So it doesn't you can argue with someone until you're blue in the face. I'm a Christian, I'm a Satanist. You're talking about the same motherfucker. You know? Yahweh, Baal. You're talking about the same Yaldabaoth, Sackless, El. You're talking about the same being over and over and over again and arguing about it or viewing yourself as better or lesser than the next because they distinguish themselves through another higher power, another deity. Doesn't fucking matter. if you don't realize who you are, which I believe is part of the reason for that, system setup, then I don't like to say people are failing, but in a sense, you're failing. If you view this as a game, or if you view this as a simulation or a practice run or whatever you view it as, if you don't realize self, you are not realizing what you're supposed to. That is my thought. So, I don't know. Think on that, I guess. I'm going to do a video on it soon. I may even actually, it's been a minute since me and Infinity did something. It'd be cool if that would be a perfect topic for us, actually. So, I'm going to hit you up in a little bit, Infinity, and hopefully you're available to talk and we can talk about maybe doing that. Um, yeah, man, I'm gonna end it in a second, and then it'll re-upload, and you'll be able to see where I started with it. It's really interesting. But I'm gonna call you in a minute, so uh, I may not say it the same way. So rewatch it when you want to, but I'm gonna call you in a minute. I love you guys, and I appreciate you hearing me out. If you want to donate, it's in the description of the channel at the very least. I've been trying to remember to put it in the video. It helps out the channel, gives me a temperature check on what to talk about and what is cared about and how much I should do this. So I love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.